In the summer of 1999, a group of wrestlers struck fame as they blazed through the industry, the best of whom was the real deal, the star of the group. Talented and loved by fans, he was on his way to becoming one of the greatest wrestlers the world had ever seen. Yet despite this, even he fell victim to his own demons. After getting a taste of victory, the real deal had no intention of leaving, and in his desperate lust for power, stabbed his friend in the back to win the championship. And thus began the real deal's fall from grace. Betrayal after betrayal, he would fall from beloved champion to hated villain, becoming one of the most despised wrestlers in the industry. That wrestler's name was James Willems. This is his story. That intro was one of the many characters and stories that James Willems loved to play, because when he was a kid, he and his friends were massive wrestling fans, even making their own wrestling ring and writing their own stories. And because of this, James grew up being a naturally extroverted performer, loving acting and athleticism, doing drama and competitive wrestling in high school. Here, we can already see the James we know and love today. So it'll surprise literally no one that he originally wanted to become a pro wrestler when he was younger. But James never took this path, and instead went to college studying film. He did, however, still love performing, and was super into music, being a part of a college band called Kyoto Sex Wolf USA. Yes, it's spelled with 3 X's, and no, it's not a joke, that's actually true. And after a couple years, at the age of 22, James graduated college and moved to LA with dreams of working in the film industry. And when he got there, he was lucky enough to get a bunch of random jobs here and there. And one of those jobs was for a show that did reality compilations, such as the top 10 most dangerous police chases, or the craziest deaths caught on camera. His job was to basically sift through a ton of VHS tapes and try to find anything that was worth putting in the compilations. Sounds like a pretty chill job, right? Well, James hated this job, but it wasn't all bad though, because he was a huge fan of Attack of the Show, a live TV show made by G4. And it just so happened that James knew someone that could connect him to the makers of the show, and managed to get a job at G4. It was also around this time that he realized how important exercising was to him. He had always loved working out, but now he realized that it was more than just getting swole. It was also meditative and mentally relaxing for him. But back to his career, when James started on Attack of the Show, he had to make the teasers for the next segment before the commercials started. Like for example, they'd be like, "And stay tuned, because after the break, Kevin sticks a finger up his butt," or something like that. And it was James's job to write these. But like with before, James started to hate working at G4, so he left and became an independent filmmaker like he always dreamed of. So this is it, the start of a new beginning in James's life, a new chapter where he would go out there and make his own movies. He now had the experience, the equipment, and the spirit to do it, and spent a couple years filming stuff. Being his own boss and directing short films and music videos, he was living his dream of being a filmmaker. And during these years, he made a grand total of $0 and 0 cents. And to make things even better, James's bills were coming up, and he was like, well, shit. Looks like I gotta find a job now. So he got a job doing quality control for a post-production company that was digitizing movies and shows from film and VHS to digital. So you know all those old movies you see on Netflix? Well, they were originally on film and VHS, but someone needed to convert them to a digital format for Netflix. James worked for one of those companies. And James's job was to basically watch the movies and make sure nothing got messed up in the conversion. So they'd be like, "Hey, James, we're digitizing the original Power Rangers series, so we need you to watch the entire show for us." Seems like a sweet job, right? You get paid to watch movies and shows all day? That sounds cool as hell. Well, James actually hated the job because it wasn't very fulfilling. Like, yeah, it was super chill, but James wanted to create and to write and to perform. And with this job, he wasn't really doing anything. But also, it's not like you're watching a ton of really good movies, because so many of the movies he had to watch were total dog shit. And when I say shit movies, I don't mean like Father's Day, so bad that it's good type. I mean really bad. And when you have to watch like 5 crap movies every single day, over and over and over again, it can get really draining. So when James found an opportunity at Machinima, he immediately took it. So, you might be thinking, wow, this is when he started working on Inside Gaming, right? Well, you'd be wrong. because he got put in some really boring job making partnership deals with Machinima partners. But even though it wasn't really what he wanted to do, it was a nice enough job, and he was getting paid. But that wouldn't last, and he got laid off from Machinima because apparently the universe hates James, so he had to start his career all over again. However, literally immediately afterwards, an old friend from Attack of the Show, who now worked at Machinima, had heard that James got fired, and he was like, oh shit, I need to get him another job. So he gave James a call and was like, hey, I heard you got fired. Well, I need a video editor for this Machinima show I'm working on. You want the job? So James was saved. He got fired, then was immediately rehired at the same company that just fired him. All thanks to his old friend. And that old friend was none other than Bruce Green. And the Machinima show James was hired for was a cute little gaming news show called Inside Gaming. So basically, James got fired from Machinima, left, then literally the next morning came back to work in the same office, except this time he was actually getting paid more than before. So getting laid off was the best thing that could have happened to him. Although, the job was an editing gig, so it wasn't really performing or anything on camera like James wanted. But that was about to change. Because Bruce wanted to start making comedy gameplay videos for Inside Gaming, in addition to the news. And he wanted James to edit them. And because the editing needed to be a certain style to match their humor, Bruce told James, it'd be easier for you to edit if you sat in the same room as us, so that you can get familiar with the recordings and our style of comedy. So during the gameplay videos, James would sit in the room with them, but be off camera, taking mental notes for the editing. But things didn't go according to plan, because the guys would be recording the video, and they'd be chatting and making jokes, but whenever there was a lull in the video, and it got silent, they'd be like, oh crap, what do we say now? Then James, from across the room, would be like, you guys should make this joke. And they'd be like, oh yeah, good idea, that's a good joke, James. And it went on like this for a couple weeks, the crew making videos, and James sitting off camera, taking notes and suggesting jokes. Until one day, Bruce approached James and was like, James, we're gonna make another gameplay video, but this time, we want you to sit with us. So this is it. It finally happened. Performing on camera, making jokes, entertaining people, it was all James ever wanted. And that moment was when the Funhouse we know today was born. Here, they really made a name for themselves, becoming insanely popular with the Machinima audience for their unique style of quick-witted, clever, and slightly offensive humor.
I like to show the gay community out there that it's okay to be straight.
But despite their success and popularity with Machinima, after a couple years, the Inside Gaming crew decided to call it quits with the company. This was for many reasons, like for example, Machinima was known for being real shitty with their partners, doing stuff like bullying small content creators into shitty contracts that trapped them with the company. Bruce described Machinima as a toxic brand at the time they were leaving, if that gives you any ideas of what Machinima was like. And they decided to officially leave Machinima and go independent. After leaving, there were disagreements amongst the group about what they should do next. Some said that they should stay full independent and start their own company, while others said that they just weren't in a position to do that, and that they needed to find another company to work for so that they can actually get money. And it just so happened that Rooster Teeth was looking to create a department in LA and make a home base in the city. So when Rooster Teeth heard that the Inside Gaming crew went independent, Rooster Teeth scooped them up and they created the brand Funhouse. Originally, they were really worried, being unsure if Funhaus and Rooster Teeth would work, because starting a new company and trying to build a new brand is always tough, and since their jobs were so dependent on the support of the fans, they weren't sure if people would watch them. But to their surprise, their fans all migrated from Inside Gaming straight to Funhouse. James actually described it like a herd of animals all crossing from one side of the street to the other.
It's good because part of what we were worried is that we would miss our fans. Like if we went somewhere new, it's like moving, you know, and so we thought we might miss our fans, but they just came with us. Yeah. And that's the amazing thing about it.
Because yeah, the brand was different, the names were different, the company was different, but the people were still the same. It was the same crew that made all those quick snappy jokes, the same crew that made all those amazing comedy videos, and the same crew that we loved and made us all laugh over the years. So yeah, James, we watch because of you guys, because we like you, and we know that Funhouse won't last forever, But whatever you decide to do in the future, the fans will always have your back.